Is to the streets, is to the mother effing streets. It's your homeboy Loafing to Go, and I'm back with another episode of Fast and Furious interviews. On today's show, ladies and gentlemen, we got a very special guest in the building. So why don't you tell the people who you are and where you from?
What's good, man? It's your boy SS Choir Boy straight out of 205, Birmingham, Alabama, East Side to be Pacific.
All right, man. So I've been going through the internet. Everybody been telling me to check you out, man. What's going on with you, man? Tell us about your latest project.
Appreciate it, man. By the way, today is my dad's death date. Today in particular, I released my new single, Time Heal, by SS Choir Boy on all platforms.
All right, so here on Fast and Furious interviews, we like to dig in the background just a little bit, man. So why don't you tell us what it was like for a young SS choir boy growing up?
Like I told you, I kind of had the best of both worlds. If you could say a Zack and Cody life. I was one of them people. My dad was a preacher. My mom was a crackhead. So I had a little bit of knowing to go into the church, putting on a suit and tie, and I had to also be in the street life, not knowing if I was going to live the next day, not knowing what I was going to eat.
Wow, your dad was a preacher and your mom was a crackhead. How did that happen?
How they say fate. God puts everybody in a season and in a place, and they just so happened to meet each other at that time. My dad at that time was not a preacher, and my mom was a recovering crack addict. My dad at the time was a drug and counselor, and they just so happened to meet. How they say, opposites attract, I guess.
Wow, man, that's crazy, man. So your mom was a crackhead your entire life then, before you were born and all of that now, huh?
Yeah, in the words of Deontay Wilder, to this day.
Wow, man. So tell us a little bit about your father. What kind of man was your father?
My father was a man that stood on all 10. Of course, my father was not always a father. Let me correct myself. My father was not always a preacher. Just being specifically honest, my dad lived his own life before he came into the life of Christ. But once he came into the life of Christ, he ended up conceiving me. So just being honest with you, my dad was an upstanding guy. My dad was the one who taught me the right from wrongs. Hey, you ain't gonna do that. Don't spare the rod, don't spare the child. You know what I'm saying? And then like I told you, of course, any child gonna rebel, gonna do what they wanna do, gonna be in the streets to where my dad can protect me from any and everything that life had coming for me, or that I wanted to put myself in as an individual adult or as a child.
All right, so growing up, you stayed with your dad. Did he have a stable household?
I stayed in a big ass house. I ain't gonna even count to you. I never wanted for anything financially. I stayed in a 2-story house. I never wanted for anything financial. My daddy was an entrepreneur. My dad was one of them dudes that can goddamn, if you needed your car waxed and shine to make $1, my dad would get it done. So it was to a point to where I never went without anything. I was never one of them children that struggled by choice. And I want to tell it like that. I was never one of them children that struggled by choice. Now, we didn't have it at that time. We didn't have it. So I was one of them kids that always had it. But at the same time, my dad taught me hard work. And a man can only go out there and get it, especially a man. I can't talk about a boy, but a man got to go out there and get it.
All right, so growing up, man, what type of child was you / student was you in, like, 4th grade?
4th grade, like I told you, innocent child. One of those people that, just being honest with you, in 4th grade, I gotta say I wasn't the typical 2000 baby. I was respectable. I had a teacher named Miss Brown that I was in love with. That anything that lady told me to do, I did. And my grade point average and everything showed of that sort.
So what was the difference between 4th grade and 8th grade?
8th grade, I started smelling myself. 8th grade, I started feeling like I was a man. I started getting bigger. I started lifting weights. I started playing sports. I started liking girls. And I started feeling like I ain't gotta listen to nobody. Think about it. Like I told you, I got me a little cell phone. Social media is coming into fruition. And like I told you, now I got me a Facebook page where I got me 4,300 likes. Oh, it's up. You can't tell me nothing. Include my father and my mom. You can't tell me nothing. My friends say I'm the shit. That's what my friends say. They say I'm the shit. The people on the internet say I'm the shit. And eventually I'm finna get about your shit. Just being honest with you, in 8th grade.
At what age did you start putting words together, making them rap?
I can honestly say I did that at a young age. I did that about around 12. I had a sister, just being honest with you, they used to write songs. And I used to sit up there and see her write her songs, and I could never write songs. I'm talking about I used to try. And I just could never put words together. And it kind of was a competition for me. I'm gonna be honest with you. Once I seen her doing it and she was such good at doing it, I pushed myself to learn.
So did you guys have like a group or what?
No. I did grow up singing in different festivities. Like I grew up singing in the Boys and Girls Choir of the Magic City. I grew up singing in the church, just being personally honest. I had, of course, a lot of different events like parties and things that I would do just singing because I always love singing. I always love rapping. But I never had a group. We never had a group.
What was mom at during this time? Because you said she was on drugs, right?
Like I told you, mom was an active crackhead. Mom was there every minute of the day. I'm like this. A lot of times you wouldn't even be able to look at my mom and tell she was on crack. Went to work every day, did everything. To where a lot of people don't understand. Just because you're on a DOC doesn't mean that has to stop your everyday lifestyle.
So she was like a functioning, crackhead to say, right?
Yes, sir.
How did that make you feel knowing that it was that secret going on?
To a certain extent, I was just grateful to have my mom at certain times. Because like I told you, with my dad being the person that he was, I seen a lot of parents that were on the same drugs or on different drugs that people didn't have their parents. So it was to a point where it was more embarrassing than uncomfortable. Because of course, when my mom did come around, and sometimes think about it, man, I'm like, but you know what I'm saying? Can't nobody shame their mom. So it's either I'm gonna accept my mom for who I am, to where I had to learn how to say, everybody's life ain't perfect, except the punches, and keep fighting.
Right. All right. So you make it out of 8th grade, you make it to high school, man. What was the difference between 8th grade and high school?
High school, I lost my rabbit ass mind. And I specifically want to say that I got locked up. Majority of my high school life, just being honest with you, I was in DYS committee. That's Department of Youth Services. I was locked up.
What type of crimes you was committing, because you were like, what, 12, 13 years old at that time?
Like I told you, I caught my first case at 13. And basically, I got released from DYS commit at 18. My first case ever was, like I told you, the assault and battery case. Specifically with this assault and battery case, a young man was bullying me. I attacked him. A lot of people don't understand when you attack people is repercussions to the things that you do, even at a young age. So I attacked this young man and ended up hurting him very badly, to where his parents ended up pursuing legal charges against me. With me being young, I had to go through a juvenile court system. With me going through this juvenile court system, they weren't able to put me in adult jail, which is Department of Corrections, but they were able to do what they felt like I needed to be done. To where a lot of the trouble that I got in after that with being in the system was violation of probations. So I ended up literally staying in the system from the time I was 12 years old until the time I was 18. And then they never even had a choice but to release me at 18, because at this point I'm an adult.
Wow. So what was it like when you walked into that juvenile center?
At first, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I was just like any kid, laughing, giggling, thinking it's a joke, thinking like, man, there ain't dudes in here that's really like, I'm just being honest, I was locked up with murderers. At 16, 17, like dudes in here for whole bodies. Like how they say, I got my young bull, I got my young killers. I was in there with the young killers. I was in there with the young bulls. I was in there with the dudes that was in, specifically, I wasn't in there for a body. But I'm in there with guys that, man, look, after they get through with they love youth, DYS commitment, they getting shipped to DOC. And a lot of people don't understand when you get, let's just say you do catch a body at 16. Once you catch that body at 16, they can't necessarily put you in a dope prison. To where they put you in a DYS committed facility until you're of age, which is 18, to put you in a Department of Corrections facility. Basically a transfer. How they say you transfer schools, they transfer your ass to another prison. But this time you're in big boy prison. So like I told you, I got dudes right now, man, that I was locked up with that never see the light of day again. They was 16, 17.
What was it like for you, man, just walking through the doors, man, your first time?
I'm like this, it was traumatized. I'm gonna be real with you. But at the same time, how they say, it was traumatizing, but I knew I had to be a big boy. I'm like this. It made me grow up and it made me become very paranoid, just being honest with you. It made me become very untrustworthy because it was to a point to where I felt like I had to put on a certain persona to make another guy leave me alone. To where every day, man, you wake up, how they say, with that monkey on your back. You waking up feeling like, man, you can't trust nobody. Because that's what type of mentality I had to wake up with every day. To where, guess what? It kind of institutionalized me. It kind of traumatized me in a lot of ways that I'm still having to cope and deal with now that I'm in the free world.
Tell me about your community. Is it gang infested, ghetto type community?
I'm saying like this. We still do in Alabama have a few little gangs, but the gangs kind of played out. I'm gonna be real with you. You still have a few people that bang the sets, but the gangs are kind of played out. You have a lot of organized neighborhood stuff. So think about it, man. You grew up in the same projects. All us part of this project. So we be with another project that might be on another side of town. So otherwise, cliques, organizations. So I wouldn't even call them gangs, because even with gangs, I don't look at all gangs as they are gangs. They're organizations. Some gangs are organizations. So it's to a point to where I would say, my community is very traumatized. Traumatized from losing brothers, and then turning around and want to retaliate by taking another brother, to where it's an ongoing cycle.
So you never had to join a gang in order to survive inside a jail, or in order to just...
I'm not gonna lie to you, the gang chose me. I've never gotten a gang for protection. If you gotta get in a gang for protection, you wouldn't die.
What gang chose you, bro?
GD 74.
Is it a large presence? Like,
And it's not a gang, by the way, it's an organization.
Right. Is it a large presence of GDs down there?
Just being honest with you, I don't associate with a person just because they GD. And I want to say that, like, just like they had the situation with Quando, to where he just put down his flag. He specifically put down his flag, in my belief, because he dealt with people that didn't have his back. And he just dealt with them because they were crooked. My best friend is a blood. So I don't look at you just because you're GD like you're mine. It's like you family. Like we one. Now that does give us ties, but like I told you, how they say, my right hand man is not even GD. But I know that he would help me or do something for me before probably a GD member would. So it's to a person to where I'm with a person who loyal to me. I'm more loyalty over everything else.
All right, so you locked up, man. Is Dad a preacher at that time?
Yes.
How did he feel about the situation?
Of course it was uncomfortable for him. But like I told you, my dad was not always a preacher, to where he knew there was a trial and a tribulation that I had to go through by myself. Dad was there for me through the whole thing. Dad tried, like I told you, of course, Dad tried to keep me out of trouble. Dad tried to go to court every day, every time with me, and tell him like, hey man, he a good boy. But of course, the things that I had allowed myself to do allowed them to see that I was not a good boy at that time. So what you saying your son a good boy because you a preacher, but Hey man, your son got caught with a gun. Did you know your son got caught with a gun? Your son got dang on broke somebody's house. Did you know your son broke somebody's house? Your son shot at these boys last weekend. They caught him on video. Did you know your son shot at these boys and they caught him on video?
Do
You know
you
what I'm saying? Well, what could my dad do for me at that point?
do you feel like you embarrassed the family by doing like all this?
Hell yes. Hell yes. Hell yes. But I was a young teen at the time that, like I told you, I felt like I had something to prove to some guys that, just being honest with you, to this day. To this day, that's my biggest thought. What did I have to prove to some guys? To this day.
All right, so you said you started rapping at a young age, man. So you go into the juvenile system, you still rapping? Are you concentrating on writing raps or what?
At that time, I'm just being honest with you, my concentration was on doing time. So like I told you, when you in jail, I had a journal to where that's where I learned how to start putting words into writing. To where every day they would make us write in our journals. We got you remember we used to have a note, the little colorful notepads. They used to make us write in our colorful notepads every day. And sometimes, like I told you, just like Tupac Shakur, sometimes I would write poems. To where I started out writing poems. Because I could never really like write words, but I always had beats in my head. To where I boom, 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 boom. Like, okay. But I would end up just writing into a poem. And some days I just write how I felt. If I just had a fucked up day, I write, man, I had a fucked up day today. This shit was crazy. I'm just being real with you. This shit was crazy. Man, these motherfuckers pissed me off today and period. So I guess what? Eventually, I learned how to put those words into song and the melodies. And once I learned how to put them in the songs and the melodies, you got what you got today.
All right, so I want to jump into the music just a little bit. So when was the first time you went to the studio to actually write a song?
March 20th of 2020. I never forget that day a day in my life. That was the day that I felt like I stopped being scared of what everybody saw in me.
Tell us about that song and your experience.
My first song that I released was called Revolvers. Specifically, I was one of them kids that always went around the hood singing my little ass off. So folks be like, man, why you never go to the studio, man? Like you hard. Like people used to even try to invite me to their studios because of course you had your at-home studios and different things like that. And I'm like, man, I ain't doing no music, man. Like I'm straight. I'm out here. Like I told you, at that time, I'm out here. I ain't doing no music. You know what I'm trying to see what we got going. Like, what this going on? What's that going on? The last thing I'm worried about is going to a studio. Specifically saying it like that. The last thing I'm thinking about is going to a studio. And one specific day, I had a friend named Bam that stayed down here and he got killed. And Bam was the type of person that, I'm gonna be honest with you, he would give you his shirt off his back. Bam was already part of a crew named M.O.P that had local stardom as far as down here. And Bam was trying to do his own wave. Bam had became single and was trying to do his own wave, and they killed this man outside his own house and burnt them up in the car.
The rappers did that shit?
The street says the mob. The street say the mob did it to him.
Was he accused of like stealing or something like that? Or
Man, Bam went, from what I know, Bam was that type of dude. His name is Bam Bam Carter. You can find him on all platforms. He's deceased now, but long live Bam Bam Carter.
how did that make you feel when you found out he was dead?
Traumatized. To know that a guy that, man, I can understand Bam was a good guy. Bam was one of the people that was in the streets, but I try to get everybody to understand just because you in the streets don't mean you're a bad guy. So every time I seen Bam, Bam shook my hand. Bam asked me, little bro, how you doing today? Shit, what you got going on? Now, I never knew what he had going on outside of me, but I know that man didn't deserve to die like that.
All right, I want to segue a little bit. How hard is it for a person to come up in the rap game from your community?
It's very hard. Not only are you dealing with hate, number one. Hate is the number one thing that's killing all artists. Number two is goddamn on competition. A lot of us in this music industry do not like competition. We okay with knowing that the person good, but the time that they start and you start stagnating to where instead of you worrying about what your next move gonna be, you worrying about taking them out so you can get to the next level. So it's not about helping your brother up anymore. It's about letting me get there before you.
Do we know anybody that came from your area that's famous off of raps?
For my area, it's a lot. Alabama, if I can say Alabama, or you just talking about Birmingham?
I'm talking about the whole Alabama. I know y'all got what's his name, the throw the D's on that bitch. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I know
yeah.
y'all got.
Look. I'm finna give you all on. Rilo Rodriguez. No cap. Young Blue. Um, Mr. B from down here. Let me tell you about them whole. Let me hear you say Mobile, Alabama. Who else from Alabama? Gucci Man from Bessemer, Alabama. Whether he want to say he from Zone 6 or not. Whether he want to claim Zone 6 or not. Gucci Man is from Bessemer, Alabama. Is what they like to call it, because we from the country. They say Belma, Alabama. He went to Lawson Community College.
All right, I got a few questions to ask you, man. So I'm gonna jump right into the questions.
I'm ready.
If you could bring an artist back from the dead to help you on your project, who would that artist be and why?
Mo3, because I felt like Mo3 was more inspirational than he knew, in my eyes. Number one, he wasn't scared to show his church, but he wasn't scared to scold that he was on that type of time too. I look at very few artists like they are truly themselves at all times. To a lot of us, like I told you, this internet get a lot of us in trouble. To where we get on the internet and try to be something different than what we are in everyday life. Not knowing that the internet is global and it can get you in a lot of trouble very fast. But like I told you, and the reason why I would bring Mo3 back is number one, I never knew anybody that can literally sit up there like how we used to do in school and beat on the damn table and make a whole song and it would go viral. Now, Finesse 2 Times did it too, and I understand it's something that's been called freestyling for a very long time. But I've never seen someone sit there and sing as well to where, like I told you, I'm a singer. The way he used to sit there and put his words, like, man, the melodies. I wish, I'm like this, if I can go dig them out right now and breathe my life into them, I would. That's how hard I want bro back. Like, real talk. He inspired me in a lot of ways, whether he, and the way he died was fucked up. Should no man die running down the interstate.
Wow. All right, so are you working with any particular artist?
Right now, no. Because of the industry, I've been trying to kind of take my time when it comes to that. No, specifically because I don't want to make any music with anyone that it's not of me. And I want to just say it like that and leave it at that. I don't want to make music with anyone that is not of me.
Man, powerful words. Hey, what do you see yourself 5 years from now, bro?
5 years from now, I see myself globally known. Globally, like I see myself if I can. And no, you asked me that question. Myself, I see myself bigger than Michael Jackson.
Those some big shoes to fill, bro.
But at the same time, if you don't look at yourself like you can fill big shoes, you a small foot dude. I don't wear small shoes. If I can't fill them up, I get halfway there to I used to wear my daddy's shoes all the time, and I couldn't fit them, but I used to make them go.
All right, man. If I'm the record label, not saying that you want to be signed to a record label, but if you were signed to a record label, and I'm the record label, and I tell you, we got room in the budget for one top industry artist to be on your first single, man. Who is that artist and why?
Drake. And the reason why, Drake. Self-explanatory. Everybody already know. Drake. Soon as Drake drop on it, platinum. Look at it. Statistics show. How they say, just like they say about LeBron James, statistics show.
Hey, man, tell me your top 5 artists in the industry right now.
Drake, NBA Youngboy. This third one gonna kind of probably catch you off guard. DJ Khaled. If he'll get his mind right, I would say Kodak. But he got some demons he got to deal with on his own right now. And Pitbull, because a lot of people don't look outside of your ginger. So Pitbull is selling not only to our kind, but he's selling to Mexicans, he's selling to white people, he's selling to everywhere.
Hey, what camp do you see yourself fitting in best with?
Stay solid.
Who is that?
Myself. That's what the SS and SS Squad Boy stand for. Stay solid.
So you don't see yourself. You don't see yourself like with CMG or maybe Top Dog. Or...
I would be a Dolph. If I can say it like that, I would be an Adolf. I wouldn't say I wouldn't sign a distribution deal with them. I wouldn't say, okay, man, I would pay you to market my music. I wouldn't be under your umbrella, your branch. But of course, I want to be independent. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being honest with you. The independent is the new wave. I could be a CMG. Gotti was Gotti before he was CMG. Before he signed the artist, he was Yo Gotti. Before Gucci Mane was Gucci Mane, 1017, he was Gucci Mane. Before Jay-Z was Def Jam, he was Jay-Z. Before he was Rockefeller, he was Jay-Z. All these people started with their own. A lot of people don't believe in themselves. You got to believe in yourself first. And that's all the independent is, believing in yourself.
All right. You got anybody you want to shout out from your town?
I want to shout out. Hey, look, this is going to take a long time. Star Baby, she's 12 years old. Let me specifically say that. Star Baby with 2 R's, and she's 12 years old. She the new wave. I'm going to say it like that. We going out of style, she coming in style. And she already popping. Respects the SGK Goulet. Respect the Kid Trouble. Respect the Rocky. Big respect to Tierra Ray. Tierra Ray is one of the most best outstanding female rappers in the game right now. Shout out to Keisha. Keisha is a very good artist. Shout out to the Boogeyman. And these are all local artists, by the way. Shout out to Motion Boys. Shout out to 256 Reese. Like I told you, and it's of course there's a lot of big name artists, but I feel like they already have the platform for what they want. I'm shouting out my local artists.
Tell the people about your next project. Yeah, what's coming up? What's coming up next?
You kind of put me on the spot now. I ain't gonna even lie to you. What's coming up next is a lot of adventures. I'm gonna leave it there. What's coming up next is I'm finna take you on a road to where we gonna have some ups, we gonna have some downs. But if you fooling with Quiet Boy, you gonna love this way. So like I told you, I never want to tell my next move, because if I tell you my next move, I want you to wonder on that tip. So I want to see where my fans coming from.
What could the people find you at on social media?
You can follow me on all platforms at S. Specifically on Instagram is SS hashtag underscore choir boy. But other than that, everything else is S choir boy.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna tell you this. I really appreciate you for joining the show, bro. You know what I'm saying? I wish you nothing but the best, nothing but success on your journey, man. You know what I'm saying? And with that being said, bro, I just want to say peace.
Peace.